A spectacular new production of Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera is happening here at the Fox Theater in St. Louis. We have a behind-the-scenes look at its production and its star.
My name is Quentin Oliver Lee, and I play the title role in The Phantom of the Opera.
And what does that mean, the title role?
Well, it is the headlining, the Phantom, probably the most iconic role in Broadway history.
Well, tell me how you got that role.
A lot of practice and a lot of auditions, certainly. Well, I remember I had an audition, I'd say about 3.5 years ago for this tour, and I did terribly. So that was my first audition. I didn't get past the first round, and then about a year ago, so I guess in December, I had another set of auditions. I want to say there was 3 or 4 of them. Yeah, and I got the material. I was working on a show at that time called Prince of Broadway, actually about Hal Prince, who directed the original show. So I went into the room and I sang, and then I got called back and I sang Music of the Night again, and I got called back again and I sang Music of the Night again for the director. And then they flew me out to London, to UK, to sing for Cameron McIntosh, and I got to sing Music of the Night for him too.
I knew you were in the room a few minutes ago. I was looking down as reading, but I heard the voice.
Sure.
What kind of training do you have in terms of, you're an opera singer?
That's right, I'm an opera singer. So I studied for, I want to say 6 years, well 5 to 6 years in Arizona. With some wonderful teachers at a university there called Northern Arizona University. It was a great opera program. And then I moved to New York and did what all actors do and struggled and tried to find work there. And also took a lot of classes, a lot of acting and a lot of singing classes. I worked especially with Mark Oswald, who works with a lot of med-opera singers. Yeah, and so I'm an opera trained singer and not a classically trained actor, but I have taken a lot of classes.
Well, tell me a little bit about your acting background. Porgy and Bess?
That's right. I did Porgy and Bess at the Muni here, which is exciting. I was a swing on the show, so essentially I understudied all of the ensemble characters, and I also understudied Porgy, the main guy, and Crown, the main bad guy. And here at the Muni, I got a chance to go on as Porgy, which was really exciting. Yeah.
And some other productions?
That's right. Aside from that, I mean, like I said earlier, I did Prince of Broadway, and I also did a couple of other shows in New York, smaller shows, at the Encore series, Golden Apple, and there's an MLK show that just came out, I Dream, I believe, at the Kennedy Center. I mean, I've done a few things. You can check it out on the website. You know, I'm the first African-American to do it here in St. Louis, for sure. And Robert Guillaume, yeah, I believe he did it in Vegas. And then Norm Lewis was the second person to do it, the second African-American person to do it in New York. And then actually in this tour, there was another guy, Derek Davis, right before me. So I'm not the first, or the second, or the third.
But you are the first to do it here
That's
in St. Louis,
right.
Missouri.
That's right.
What are we expecting to see in this production where you're starring?
Well, the same fantastic music that has affected literally billions of people. This production is 30 years old, or this show is 30 years old, and has lasted this long for a really good reason. So you're going to hear some fantastic music, you'll see some fantastic acting. The stage it can win awards at this point. It's really amazing. So I'd say a really wonderful love story, you know. Yeah, come and see what everybody's been hyping about for 30 years. Yeah, I'm kind of young. I'm 30. Okay. You know, just turned 30. So I'm from Southern California. I grew up in San Bernardino. Like, it's just a small town. Well, sort of smallish town in I don't want to say middle America because it's Southern California, but it's like any other suburb.
Did you go to a performing arts school?
I didn't. I just went to a regular high school. Our choir went to New York once to just sing around. That's where I saw my first musical. And then
parents encouraged you?
A little bit. I played in marching band, and they didn't have anything wrong with it. You know, they thought, you know, it's just like a phase, like anything else. You know, I'd go and do regular work like an accountant or something like that, which is totally fine. That's sort of what they assumed, and that's sort of what I assumed too. And then I went to college, and I went to college again in Arizona. I don't want to say unassuming, but I wasn't taking it like, this is the thing I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I didn't know, you know. But as I got better, as I continued to enjoy it, room was made for me to do it. And so I took advantage of those opportunities. And then I went to study at grad school, and I actually got into some grad schools, but I also got into Porgy and Bess at the same time. So I decided not to go to grad school, but to go to Porgy and Bess instead. And from then I started to really pursue musical theater. You know, I love music. Let's talk about any good music. Well, I mean, it depends on the day, honestly. But today, you know, a really great piece by Donald Glover just came out. This is America. Got to mention that. I mean, that's fantastic. That's pop music, but
blowing up the internet.
Oh gosh, it's great though. It's great. There's a lot of great music in multiple genres: opera, musical theater, you know, pop, jazz. Certainly, I love jazz. You know, I love good music.
Tell me your favorite part of The Phantom. For you, your acting part. What's your favorite part?
It depends on the day, certainly. But I really do enjoy the last 20 minutes of the show for me, because I'm on stage, essentially. There's a huge arc and there's a huge change within the Phantom that I get to try and portray every night. It's wonderful to be able to let out as much angst as I think that the Phantom has in those moments, and then to realize to have a moment of self-realization, you know, which I think the Phantom has, and hopefully that's the moment that everybody can see and have within themselves at the end of the show.
Favorite song?
I'd say maybe Past the Point of No Return at this point.
Is that the one where? No, that's not the one where it's standing beside me. That's not it, right? Okay. What song is that?
Past the Point. That happens. Oh gosh, it's right near the end. It's right.
Can you hum it or something for me? I just he doesn't want to sing.
I'm gonna sing for the next 4 hours today. I don't do it. It's very rare that I feel like, I mean, because as an artist, you're very much a perfectionist. But I try to feel pretty good about my performance whenever I go on stage at the very end. You know, if they're standing and they're clapping, then they had what they needed to have.
And what's going through your mind? What emotions are you feeling as you are?
Oh, I'm bowing. I'm very grateful. I'm just grateful that I had the opportunity to perform for these people, you know, and that I have the opportunity to perform as a person. You know, so I'm very grateful to God. That always happens, and I want to make sure that I'm bowing for the right amount of time too. So that's really
And one last thing, because we're showing video and going to use a lot of voiceover video. Tell me about some of the special effects, maybe those that you find, like the chandelier and other things, the boat scene, or any of that stuff.
The special effects are all new to this production. If you can imagine, this production, again, is 30 years old. 30 years ago, they didn't have Bluetooth, they didn't have the internet like we do now. A lot of the effects that you see in the show are updated with some of that new technology. So it's really thrilling.
What part do you sort of get a kick out of seeing?
Oh, well, the journey. Every time, the first journey into the lair, I can't give too much away, but it's fantastic.
Okay.
And it's new.
Mitch, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
As stage manager, tell me what you're responsible for here at the Phantom.
So my role as stage manager here is kind of doing what everybody else doesn't do, in a way. As the stage manager, we take care of all the actor safety backstage. Our show's so large that we bring in so many local stagehands, but we have so many less road crew to try to teach those people that we have to make sure all the locals are in the right place at the right time, make sure the cast is in the right place at the right time. The entire show is maintaining its integrity from night to night, so that every audience sees the same show that was on opening night that they see 500 shows later.
This is a spectacular production. Tell me what's different about this go-around from the others, and how long has this been on Broadway?
This one was been out for 5 years with us, and I think that it's kind of like comparing apples to oranges when you ask how the differences are. I think that you have to kind of throw away the whole idea of the brilliant original production and just focus on the spectacular new one, because it's so different. I mean, the designers and creative staff have reimagined the show to be more like a movie feel, a live movie. So you're getting like bumps and fades and wipes away, so you're not waiting for a scene change to happen. You're all of a sudden onto the next scene with the characters. So there's never a moment where you're sitting and wondering or having a moment of doubt because you're waiting for something else to happen. You're always right there with the actors on their journey and able to experience what they're experiencing. My most favorite scene in the show is the end of Act 1 when the Paris Opera House collapses. It's one of the true moments in the show where even if you know the show, you're not really ready for it, and to hear the true gasp of the audience is just really, really amazing, because everybody is in that moment. You can't not be in that moment as everything is collapsing around you, and then to hear the final gasp as everything just comes to a final collapse is really, really awesome.
So people, in essence, people who are coming this week, next week, What are they expected to see?
I think they're going to see a whole amazing show. They're going to be wowed with love. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotion for them, and just something so rewarding that you don't want to miss it. Oh, our chandelier is really cool. So it's designed by Howard Eaton. He did all the gold rings for Olympic ceremonies in London. And it's the only chandelier that's out there. So in order to see our chandelier, you have to come see our show. There's no other one. It weighs just over a ton, and the way that we're going to see it inside the theater in a few minutes is exactly like it travels. It doesn't come apart, like nothing, there's no pieces to it. It rides in a huge cage that rolls right out over the house and then flies. And it's maintained by a bunch of different departments, and one of the most spectacular pieces that we have.
Costumes.
Whew, there's a lot of them. So we have over 2,500 costume pieces in the show. We hired just 2 people that only do laundry and only do fixes for us. Because we have 8 shows a week, you can imagine how those costumes that are some over 25 years old, because we kept the original designs, how they wear and tear. Our ballerinas go through a pair of ballet flats every 3 or 4 weeks, and tutus every 2 to 3 months. So everything's constantly rotating, and there's constantly stuff coming in and out of the show.
How many scene changes are there?
Oof, probably just about 20 back and forth between all the times we go back and forth between scenes. The boat's pretty cool. It's actually a big a remote control car, if you will, and it is driven by one of the people backstage, and it rides just like you'd ride in a buggy, in a gondola, and it feels just like a gondola on the water, which I think adds even more to the illusion for the actors of the fact that, you know, it's a boat in the water. One of our biggest special effects that we maintain, that we're a part of, is all of our pyro sequences. So, you know, for me, one of my most stressful jobs is there's always one stage manager backstage that's calling the show, and that's in charge of making sure that all those light changes happen, all those sound changes happen, all the scene changes happen, all the pyro sequences happen. In those pyro sequences, you're looking for people to be on exact marks on the stage. So it's one of the most stressful times to watch somebody run around a bunch of pyro pots and then have to fire those at the same time.
And where are you usually watching?
It depends. So there's 4 of us on the show. We all rotate jobs to keep everything fresh in our minds and to not, not have anything monotonous. I've actually never not had a successful night at Family Opera. It always is. Our audiences have always left happy, and you always hear the gasps and the cries, and there's always the line out the stage door. And it's amazingly almost always hard to get a ticket, so we just always know that they love us.
We do love you. Thank you so much.